winning protection. Go with Simparica Trio.
My father was my hero. To millions, he was Superman. I idolize and miss a different Christopher Reeve. Dad. I've waited 30 years to do this and share the experience with my father.
This Wednesday night on ABC.
The Hot Topics continue on the Weekend View, streaming on ABC News Live and YouTube Saturday and Sundays at 7:30 and 9:30 a.m. And thanks to our sponsor, Rock Skincare. Yes, indeed. Have a great day, everyone, and take a little time to
enjoy the view.
This is ABC 7 News at Noon.
A Belfast man is charged with killing his wife and critically injuring his mother in Reedfield. Good afternoon, I'm Susan Farley. President Donald Trump is threatening to withhold federal funding from the state of Maine, and a Bangor business owner is fighting to keep her store open amid an ongoing battle with the Bangor Mall. Thank you for joining us. We'll have more on these and other stories coming up. First, let's check in with meteorologist Devin Biggs. Devin?
Hey Susan, happy Friday afternoon. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Greater Maine. We invite you to give us a call regarding your project and experience the Renewal by Andersen difference. Alrighty, here we go this afternoon. We have small craft advisories that are posted running till about 5 a.m. Saturday. Some active surf will be expected along the coast. Temperatures, all right, not bad this morning. We were at 8 degrees in Clayton Lake. Teens and 20s further down toward the south. So overall, not too bad compared to some other mornings that we've had. But on land, we had a little bit of snow earlier this morning. Some of this that you saw on the radar and satellite did make it to the ground, but now overall, we'll have some clouds, maybe a little bit of sunshine that will be taking place throughout the daytime period today. Meanwhile, a little bit of snow developing across parts of the northeast, but otherwise, the rest of us are looking pretty quiet moving forward. So partly cloudy today, becoming mostly clear with a few passing clouds possible overnight and a lot of sunshine to start things off for your Saturday. Maybe a few passing clouds as well. Gusty winds, here we go, getting up to around 25 to 30 miles per hour at times. They will remain gusty overnight, and even as we head towards tomorrow, still some gusty winds to keep an eye on. For today, we have upper 20s, partly cloudy and breezy, and we'll have that northwest wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour at times. Hourly forecast for the rest of the afternoon period showing that partly cloudy sky with temperatures overall in the 20s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Susan?
Thank you, Devin. A Belfast man is now charged with murder after a violent incident in Reedfield. Maine State Police have released new details on that incident, which happened around 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Maine State Police say troopers, along with Winthrop police officers, responded to a report of an incident on the Giles Road in Reedfield. They say troopers arrived and discovered a deceased adult female outside the house. That woman has now been identified as 32-year-old Margot Whittemore of Belfast. Her death has been ruled a homicide. Her cause of death has not been released. Responding officers found the homeowner, 67-year-old Dorothy Whitmore, inside the home and critically injured. She was transported to Central Maine Medical Center in Lewiston. Her condition has since been upgraded. Police say the suspect, 34-year-old Samuel Whitmore of Belfast, fled the scene and was arrested by a trooper a short distance away. He was evaluated at Maine Medical Center in Augusta and then transported to the Kennebec County Jail, where he has been charged with murder. According to police, Margot and Samuel Whittemore were married and lived in Belfast. Dorothy Whittemore is Samuel's mother. At the time of the incident, they were visiting Samuel's parents' home in Reedfield. Police say his father was not inside the house at the time, but arrived shortly after the incident occurred. Samuel Whittemore is expected to make his initial appearance in court today. A residential garage is heavily damaged after a fire in Milford yesterday afternoon. According to Milford Fire Chief Zach Carlo, crews were called to 1057 Main Road in Milford for a reported fire around 1 p.m. Thursday. When crews arrived, they found heavy smoke coming from the side of the garage and upgraded the alarm. Milford was assisted by Old Town and Glenburn fire departments and the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office. No injuries were reported, and Carlo credits that to the assistance his team received from other departments.
It was so nice to have the Sheriff's Department here to direct traffic for us. I mean, everybody just kind of teamed up and really took a ton of stuff off my plate as command, which was fantastic. It really made the operation as easy and smooth as possible, and I would attribute that to why there was no injuries reported.
At this time, it is believed the fire was started by a wood stove in the garage. President Donald Trump speaking before the Republican Governors Association on Thursday asked if anyone in the room was from Maine, and then proceeded attacking the state over the continued inclusion of trans athletes.
We're not going to give them any federal money. They are still saying we want men to play in women's sports, and I cannot believe that they're doing that. They are, let's find out who that guy is that raised his hand. Maybe he's just kidding, but so we're not going to give him any federal funding, none whatsoever, until they clean that up.
Attorney General Aaron Frey responded this morning in a statement saying, quote, "It is disturbing that President Trump would use children as pawns in advancing his political agenda. Any attempt by the president to cut federal funding in Maine unless transgender athletes are restricted from playing sports would be illegal and in direct violation of federal court orders. Fortunately, though, the rule of law still applies in this country, and I will do everything in my power to defend Maine's laws and block efforts by the president to bully and threaten us." Earlier this month, Trump signed an executive order that intends to bar transgender athletes and from girls and women's sports by threatening to withhold federal funding from any athletic entity that allows them to compete. Senator Angus King is speaking out against Trump administration cuts to the workforce at the Department of Veterans Affairs. According to Senator King, around 1,000 workers at the VA were fired or took the deferred resignation buyout option. He says the cuts threaten access to care for all veterans. Senator King also called the move, quote, "almost certainly illegal and unconstitutional."
The problem at the Department of Veterans Affairs is that if there's nobody there to answer the phone when a veteran calls to make an appointment, as far as I'm concerned, that's a denial of benefits. And the people that are being fired and laid off are in that category. For example, we just learned that people who are answering the Veterans Crisis Hotline have been fired. Not all of them, but some of them, and that can't be good.
A Bangor business owner is fighting to keep her store open amid an ongoing battle with the Bangor Mall. Alex Schley has more.
Melissa Gabriel relocated her business, Angel Connection, a metaphysical shop, to the Bangor Mall in September of 2022.
Since moving in here, right from the first month, there have been heating issues.
Gabriel says this winter, the temperatures in part of her store have dropped to around 40 degrees.
And then last spring, you can see that we've had a lot of roof leaks.
Gabriel says she's been reaching out to the owners of the Bangor Mall, Namdar Realty Group, since September 2022 for help resolving issues with the building.
I was emailing them every week for a couple of months with no response. What's happening with the roof? Are you planning on fixing it? Do I need to find another space? No response.
Gabriel says she stopped paying rent in May, but it wasn't until she was several months behind that they contacted her.
In July, they called and said, "You're past due on your rent." And I said, "Well, that's because," and I listed all the issues. And the guy said, "Do you have pictures of this?" And I said, "Yes." So I sent him pictures. He emails me back and says, "Okay, we'll look into fixing these issues."
But Gabriel says none of the problems have been addressed.
Then nothing, no communication until December, where I got served an eviction notice.
On Monday, Gabriel has an eviction hearing. She also claims other business owners have faced similar issues.
Other people that didn't pay, and there's other people that have left and have gotten huge bills after they've left from Namdar.
An employee in the mall's management office declined to comment. We reached out directly to Namdar Realty and were referred to their PR team, Upspring PR. We have not received any response to our request for comment. In Bangor, I'm Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Coming up on ABC 7 News at noon, the Herman Food Pantry says they're at risk of closing if they don't find a new place to build. We've got details when we return.
I bought the sales pitch, take an abortion pill, and magically I would be unpregnant. I didn't know I'd have to take 2 different types of pills, that I would abort at any time, in my car, at work, that I would have to dispose of my aborted baby's body on my own. It haunts me. Don't make the same mistake I did.
Don't cry, don't whine. Get yours where I got mine. At BB's Tattoo Company, 262 Moosehead Trail, Newport.
Whether you can pinpoint the problem or can't quite put your finger on it, the friendly professionals from Coastal Auto Parts can help point you in the right direction. With Maine's largest network of parts, you can trust your vehicle will have what it needs to get you to the moments that matter most. Because Napa knows the keys to a winning team. And with 30 locations in Maine, Coastal Auto Parts helps keep our communities running. Team up together with the fuel that keeps us firing on all cylinders. Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
My dad got shoved by an employee at the nursing home and broke his hip. When I asked management about it, they tried to cover it up and said it was an accident.
If a serious injury has happened at a nursing home that's brought up cause for concern, call the 2s right now.
Our attorney at Lowry and Associates investigated and found out the truth. The nursing home had to take responsibility for what happened to my dad.
If you suspect nursing home abuse or neglect, we're your go-to lawyers.
We've got a 100-year-old company here, and it's because of the service, the quality, and the experience. It gets done right.
I think we've been doing it for so long. The only thing that we do, that when we walk into a room, we automatically know how to treat that window. We can take any product that the customer's looking for and make it work in just about any situation that they present us with. So
there's no reason to be overwhelmed. We can help you through it.
We're not going anywhere. We've been around for 100 years.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
The state has a new 5-year plan aimed at helping to improve child safety and family well-being in Maine. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard spoke with those responsible for implementing the plan to learn more.
This is a comprehensive 5-year plan to strengthen families to make sure that every parent and caregiver can provide safety, health, and nurturing care for their children.
Mariette Aborn is talking about the Maine Child Safety and Family Well-Being Plan, which has been in the works since February 2023 when Governor Janet Mills announced it at her State of the Budget address. The plan was recently finalized with the goal of taking a broad approach and ensuring families have the resources needed to safely care for their kids.
You know, I think there's been a lot of attention on the State Child Welfare Agency, and understandably, we all want kids to be safe. That is really, we need to really zoom out and look at the big picture. That means making sure that kids have what they need. That means making sure that families have what they need. They can meet their basic needs. They're able to provide that safety and stability for their children. So it's really offering this big picture approach, not just looking at the state agency, but how do families really get the support they need to be safe and stable together.
The plan comes on the heels of increased scrutiny of the department's Office of Child and Family Services for high-profile child death cases, as well as a federal lawsuit regarding access to children behavioral health services. Aborn says with the plan's partnerships between families, the state, and medical providers, they should see improvements in access to care.
One of the things that we heard a lot from parents and caregivers is the need to make sure that every member of a family has access to the continuum of care that they need, so supporting families as a whole unit.
The backbone of the plan goes back to the old adage of, it takes a village to raise a child.
Again, this plan really articulates a shared responsibility for child safety and family well-being, and that really covers a wide variety of partners, right? We really want everyone in their role to think about as a neighbor, as a community member, as a person who has parents in my network. How am I supporting them and reaching out and making sure that they know that I'm a resource to them? We really welcome everyone to think about that role.
In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Last week, the Hermantown Council voted to withdraw prior approval for a local food pantry to build a new facility on a piece of town property. Now, the director of the pantry says they're at risk of closure if they don't quickly find a location to build. Grace Blanchard shares more.
The Neighbors Supporting Neighbors Community Food Pantry serves around 200 households monthly in Herman, but a recent dispute with the town council over property could halt those services.
The past 4 months has really taken away from what we really need to be doing is making sure we have the food available to people.
The council recently voted to withdraw prior approval for the pantry to build a new facility at 433 Billings Road after it was discovered the lease was never signed. They also expressed a desire to potentially utilize that site to relocate a radio tower, much to Lackety's surprise.
We're under the understanding that that was a signed contract, and we were ready to build, and we were ready to build for free for the town of Herman.
After losing their previous space, the pantry has been utilizing a warehouse space at Sibley Transportation in Bangor. Councilors expressed at last Thursday's meeting that they are committed to helping Lackady find a more permanent solution.
Do not take our vote this evening as a proverbial nail in the coffin or leave here believing that you have no support from this council.
Senator Joe Baldacci recently sent a letter to the council expressing his support for the pantry.
They are telling, at least publicly, that they're going to work with her to find a location. But I think that they need to step up their efforts.
We reached out to the Herman town manager and council chair but have not received a response. Lackady says she is determined to keep the pantry going.
We're not giving up on that now. We just need space, we need land, we need a building, we need some help right now from the community.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The city of Bangor could have a new sign that spells out its name. Ann Krieg, with the Director of Community and Economic Development, says it's a way to celebrate the city that also is a public art display. The internally lit sign would be installed at the corner of State and Harlow Streets.
It's an underutilized space right now. It's not really large enough to have a park, but it definitely sees a lot of traffic, both pedestrian and vehicular in that intersection. So we thought that would really brighten up that space.
The idea was shelved a few years ago because of COVID. She says they brought it back to see if there is still interest. According to Krieg, estimates put the price tag between $22,000 and $28,000. She says a local business person has offered to pay some of the cost, and downtown district funds the city has could be used to pay for more. The Historic Preservation Commission and the City Council will discuss the sign during upcoming meetings. After the break, we'll take a look at the history of the basketball tournament. We'll be right back.
Are your gutters weighed down by debris causing them to sag and overflow? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. Clogged gutters lead to costly repairs for your home, so skip the cleaning and stop the clogs with Gutter Shutter. Gutter Shutter, the world's best gutter, is a high-performance gutter with a lifetime no-clog guarantee. Stop the clutter, get Gutter Shutter. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
With winter upon us, you'll want to feel safe on the road. So take action right now by heading to your Toyota all-wheel drive headquarters for our Washington's Birthday Sales Event, where you could get $4.99 for $60 on an adventure-seeking all-wheel drive RAV4 with a ready-to-impress interior. Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance. Hurry in and save on a vehicle from the longest-lasting brand, Toyota. See your New England Toyota dealer for all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
Ray Plumbing and Heating in Ellsworth congratulates all the basketball teams heading to the tournament. If you're a technician or want to become one, apply today. Congratulations on making the tournament from Top Notch Detailing in Herman. Give us a call today to ask about our tournament special, 232-2933. Calais Community Hospital in Calais would like to congratulate the Calais boys and girls teams and all the other teams that are heading to Bangor to play in the tournaments. Go Blue Devils!
Hank's Husqvarna is your trusted full-line Husqvarna dealer, offering you everything you need for your outdoor projects. From high-performance lawn tractors and zero-turn mowers to chainsaws, trimmers, battery-powered and powerful snowblowers, we have just what you need. Every piece of equipment is fully set up, serviced, and ready for use by our certified Husqvarna technician. And all sales are backed by our in-house Husqvarna warranty. For parts, service, or new equipment sales, make your way to Hank's Husqvarna in Carmel or Newport.
Winter is a time to get outside and enjoy all that Maine has to offer. And when it's time to come inside, rest assured everything's toasty because of your Fujitsu heat pump from Valley Home Services. Push a button and you'll be snuggling up on the couch in no time. Valley Home Services offers reliable rebates, significant energy savings, and expert installation. And now save $500 off each indoor unit for all systems installed by April 1st. Embrace the comfort of Fujitsu heat pumps from Valley Home Services. Call or click today.
It's really super moist, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to start off this segment by suggesting that today's recipe for baking cornbread would be ideal for this time of year, since it goes well with a big bowl of chili or a hearty bowl of soup. Then I said to myself, this is also perfect in the summer with fried chicken or when it's toasted on the grill next to our burgers. Either way, let me show you how easy it is to make, and then you can decide for yourself when it's best to serve. First of all, you know it's going to be nice and moist since it starts with a good amount of sour cream mixed with milk, an egg, and melted butter. After that's combined, we stir in some yellow cornmeal, flour, sugar, bacon bits, and a few basics. After we give this a mix, we'll pour it into a pan and into the oven it goes. When it passes a toothpick test, it's done. Now it's ready to be slathered with butter, dunked in our chili, or warmed up on the grill. And since it's studded with bacon, you just might make this your new breadbasket staple. To get the recipe for our bacon cornbread, all you have to do is check out our website.
This is one of those recipes you hang on your fridge.
Since you'll be making it all the time. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a year-round kind of way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. Want it done?
And your soup's better too, yeah.
Elon Musk reveling in his efforts to cut costs and shrink the federal workforce. Musk pranced around on stage with a chainsaw, telling a room filled with conservatives that the savings he's finding will benefit the public. He talked about potential paychecks Americans could receive, even as thousands more federal employees were being laid off. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Elon Musk wielding a chainsaw in Washington, boasting about slashing the size of the federal government.
I am become meme.
The man in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, getting a hero's welcome at a conservative conference hours after the IRS began firing some 6,000 workers.
I'm proud of the work, sad to leave my colleagues.
This now former IRS worker says he's been fired even though he was brought in to streamline data and automation at the agency. Although officials insist none of the layoffs directly affects the processing of tax returns, there is concern the cuts could lead to delays, potentially affecting refunds.
You can only imagine with so many people being let go and so much kind of like information and potential being lost, people will probably expect some disturbances.
But Elon Musk suggesting Americans could get another check from the government, pitching a $5,000 dividend for taxpayers funded by the cuts made by his Doge group.
I talked to the president, he's supportive of that, and so it sounds like, that's something we're going to do.
He's also shaking off accusations that he's a Russian asset following reports last year that he'd been in contact with Vladimir Putin. It comes as the Trump administration appears to turn toward Russia while calling Ukrainian President Zelensky a dictator. Even some Republicans voicing concern at this apparent turn toward Putin.
The strength of our alliances are on the line, and the future of democracy in the world is on the line if we do anything less than defeat Vladimir Putin.
Officials say Trump is frustrated with Zelensky because he rejected Trump's offer to settle war debts by handing over half the country's mineral resources to the U.S. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
From players to spectators, Gold Ball aspirations continue to fill the hearts and minds of those in this year's Maine high school basketball tournament. Doug Banks takes us on a look back at the history of the tournament.
The Maine basketball tournament is something that is embedded in Maine's culture.
Basketball in Maine goes back generations.
It just takes that one magical season that a community will never forget.
A countless amount of those magical seasons are preserved in time at the Maine Basketball Hall of Fame. A concourse inside the Cross Center walks folks down a journey through history, from the Eastport Lobster team to the infamous Bangor Auditorium.
It was just magic. It was people on top of each other and the noise level. It was just a different atmosphere.
For 58 years, the Mecca held countless games and memories until it was torn down and made way for the Cross Center, hosting its first Gold Ball game in 2014.
There's a different vibe than it is now. Obviously, this place is beautiful, and most people would say state of the art. The Bangor Auditorium was not that, but something about the tradition of all the teams.
Tradition courses through the veins that is the Maine Principals Association High School Basketball Tournament. And one of those is celebrating its 50th year. 1975 was the first year the MPA sponsored the girls' tournament.
The first few years, the tournaments really weren't that well attended, but as the games improved, the players have improved, coaching's better. It's a lot different.
Many things about the game have changed over the years. However, one thing hasn't. It's the dream of hoisting the gold ball.
Each town has its own traditions. Some schools have had more success than others, but all it takes is that one magical run.
In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
When we return, Devin Biggs has your 5-day forecast.
Pregnant again at 19. I was in an abusive relationship and felt that I couldn't raise 2 children alone. So I took the first abortion pill and immediately knew that I had made the worst decision. I frantically searched for answers and found abortionpillreversal.com. I was referred to a doctor who began treatments that reversed my abortion. There's help for you too. It is not too late to save your baby.
Down East Community Hospital in Machias would like to congratulate the Machias boys and girls basketball teams and all the other teams that are heading to Bangor to play in the tournaments. Go Bulldogs! To all the teams, good luck in the tournaments from Healy Chiropractic. Make sure to maintain good alignment on defense and crack the zone on offense. Lincoln Power Sports would like to say good luck to all the teams this year in the tournament.
Hello, this is George Whelan with Down East Direct Cremation. Now, anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, from the comfort of your desktop or the convenience of your mobile device, you can summon transport and arrange a simple, affordable, respectful Down East Direct Cremation for your deceased loved one. Just by using the button exclusively at downeastdirectcremation.com. All you need is the location address of the person who has died, their vital statistics information, a valid credit card for payment, and that's it. No need to pick up the telephone, no need to answer a bunch of questions, no need to come into the store, and it's still just $9.75 complete. It's so easy, even I can do it. For more information, visit us at downeastdirectcremation.com or call us at 207-225-5332. Simple, affordable, respectful. The button, only at downeastdirectcremation.com.
Welcome back. Let's check your full forecast with Devin Biggs. Devin?
Alrighty, Susan, thank you very much. TGIF, your full weather forecast brought to you by the Furniture Gallery. Make your house a home and shop for your living room needs at the Furniture Gallery. The Furniture Gallery is a Maine family-owned company with locations in Augusta, Bangor, and Windham. Here we go. We have small craft advisories that are up through at least 5 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday. Some active surf will be expected today and at least through parts of early Saturday morning because of some gusty winds. And we're seeing that this afternoon at around 2 to 6 feet according to the buoys. That's why those advisories are posted. And at around 9 feet farther down to the south and east according to this buoy here. But otherwise on land, we had a little bit of snow that fell last night. The radar picked it up and I kind of questioned if it was reaching the ground, but it did with a little bit of snow that fell in a few spots. But now that is all done and we'll be under a partly cloudy sky or so today. A little bit of snow falling across parts of the northeast as well this afternoon. But otherwise looking pretty good. Most of the country's quiet, a little bit of energy in Texas and a little bit of snow across parts of Colorado at this time. But for us, here's what we got. Partly cloudy today. We'll clear out and call it mostly clear with maybe a few clouds overnight tonight. And then we'll have sunshine to start things off for your Saturday. But maybe some more clouds in a few spots as we head throughout the daytime period. But overall, we will remain mostly sunny. More clouds do develop as we head towards Saturday night and a parts of Sunday morning with a little bit of snow that will be en route too as we head towards your Sunday. Some gusty winds to keep an eye on, getting close to 25 or even 30 miles per hour at times. The gusty winds continue tonight and even through parts of tomorrow as well, so just be ready for that. But otherwise, our average high temperature isn't too bad either. But before we get to that, we do have temperatures that fell to the 20s this morning, lower 20s near Bangor to Bar Harbor. Further off towards the north, it was a little bit colder, not as bad compared to some other nights. Now that average high temperature that I was talking about is actually not too bad at around 33 degrees degrees. We'll be in the upper 20s today and tomorrow, with lower to middle 30s Sunday into Monday. And here we are, lower 40s Tuesday, Wednesday, and also and near Thursday. For today, upper 20s, partly cloudy and breezy. Northwest wind at about 25 miles per hour. By tonight, 6 degrees, mostly clear and breezy. Northwest wind at about 25 miles per hour. And then it's Saturday, upper 20s, mostly sunny and breezy. Northwest wind getting up to about 20 miles per hour. Let's check out that extended forecast brought to you by the Furniture Gallery. Snow showers possible Sunday with highs in the low 30s, mid-30s Monday under a mostly cloudy sky. Rain and snow opportunities on Tuesday with highs in the low 40s.
Thank you, Devin. Girl Scout cookie fans get excited. The organization is about to hold its biggest weekend sale. February 21st to the 23rd marks National Girl Scout Cookie Weekend. Girl Scout cookie lovers from all over the country can order their favorite flavors for direct delivery or pickup. Fans can also buy in person at local Girl Scout cookie booths. Consumers are encouraged to buy directly from a registered Girl Scout, but if they don't know a troop personally, they can use the Girl Scout Cookie Finder to locate the closest cookie booth to them. Let's see, I want, still finding the right ones. That's all for ABC 7 News at noon. Thanks for watching. I'm Susan Farley. We'll see you this evening on ABC 7 News at 6. Have a great weekend.
He's a crook. No, he's not a crook. He's a used car salesman.